What's up, it's your girl Serena Marie, and today I want to talk to you about The Lost Daughter. So instead of going to the library and borrowing the book, I read the ebook. I still borrowed it from the library, but I read the ebook on my iPad, I've read an ebook once before. I read Gone Girl on my iPad years ago, but I keep telling myself I prefer the hard copy. I prefer flipping through pages, seeing my progress that way. But there's something about, I was watching a video by Nina Norms, what's her name? I'll put her here. And she was talking about how reading ebooks helps her to read more books because the fonts are always the same. Like, it takes less work for your mind and eyes to adjust to reading new books every time. Anyway, long story short, read the ebook and had a great time doing it, especially at night. You know, when your light's on and you're reading and you're in bed about to fall asleep and you're like, man, now I have to get up and go turn the light off. You don't have to do that with an iPad, so you don't need the lights. Anyway, long story short, I read The Lost Daughter. Before I get into the spoiler bits, let's read the description. Lita, a middle-aged divorcee, is alone for the first time in years after her two adult daughters leave home to live with their father in Toronto. Enjoying an unexpected sense of liberty, she heads to the Ionian coast for a vacation. But she soon finds herself intrigued by Nina, a young mother on the beach, eventually striking up a conversation with her. After Nina confides a dark secret, one seemingly trivial occurrence leads to events that could destroy Nina's family. That makes this sound far more mysterious. That makes it sound far more mysterious of a read than it actually is. So I decided to read The Lost Daughter because they made it into a film on Netflix, I believe, and put Olivia Coleman in anything and I'm gonna watch it. This was a tweet that I saw and I was like, I can relate. Someone tweeted, I'm in the if Olivia Coleman is in it, I'll give it a try club. And that's me. If Olivia Coleman is in the is in the movie, I'm gonna watch it. She also has a series on HBO Max called Landscapers, which I am watching. I'm not too into it, to be honest, but Olivia Coleman's in it, so I'm watching it anyway. We'll get to the movie later. Right now, the book. The book is a really quick read. It took me a while because I'm a slow reader, but the ebook is only 88 pages, so it's pretty easy to get to. The chapters are pretty short, I would say, as well. And the way it's written, it's a really easy read. It's pretty quick paced. So as it said, Lita is a mom who, her children are now adults and she's on vacation by herself to this beach that they used to go to as a family. She meets Nina, who is a young mom, struggling as a mom, and they start having conversation. Lita sees this doll that Nina's daughter plays with and decided to steal it. I'm not really sure what that was about. In my mind, it seems like Lita was missing out on something. Like, it reminded her of, well, later she talks about a doll that she had from her mother growing up. And I feel like she was trying to recreate some feeling from having this doll. And so she steals it and everyone's looking for it. For most of the book, everyone's trying to find this doll and Lena just holds on to it. But spoiler alert, the secret that is referred to in this description is that Nina is having an affair and Lita sees it happening. So I think Nina thinks that this makes them closer. She's like, I know your secret. And she's finally able to tell Nina that she has the doll, and Nina stabs her. No deadly force here, but Nina was like, how dare you make me go through this torture from my daughter because she's so upset about this doll being missing and you had it the whole time. Understandably very disappointed. So that's how it ended. Nina stabbed her. To talk about the in-between, what actually went down in the book. There's a lot of, the book goes back and forth between present day and Lita's past as a mom. When the description talked about the kids moving up to Toronto. I think that happened when they were teenagers or preteens. Nina is a professor. She lost her job when she was first married and decided to have a child, or was like pregnant around the same time. Her and her husband were working at the same university. She was laid off, her husband wasn't. And I think there was a lot of resentment towards him, maybe towards the world because of that. She ended up having 2 daughters and was just not about that motherhood life. She stuck it out for as long as possible. And then one day when they were young, maybe like elementary age, she was like, I need to go. And so Nina left for 2 years, didn't make contact with the kids at all in those 2 years. I don't know what made her go back to her family exactly. She ended up getting divorced, but she was back in her kids' life after that. So the book, I mean, the way this book talks about motherhood is really something. I bookmarked a couple of chapters or a couple of pages, and I want to read excerpts for you, but I don't want you to be bored. So there's a part of the book where she talks about aging as a mother and what it's like to watch your young daughters become older, as well as see yourself become older. And let's just read this bit. At whom were the looks of desire directed? When Bianca was 15 and Marta was 13, I was not yet 40. Their child's bodies softened almost together. For a while, I continued to think that the gazes of men on the street were directed at me, as had happened for 25 years. It had become habitual to receive them, to endure them. Then I realized that they slid lewdly from me to rest on the girls. I was alarmed and gratified. Finally, I said to myself with ironic wistfulness, a stage is about to end. So the book talks about the change that Lita goes through as a mom and as a woman. And it also kind of talks about this part of motherhood, like in trying to understand your kids. Unfortunately, like this is not great, but Lita doesn't like one of her daughters very much when she's younger. She has a really hard time being a mother to her. And so that's something that is discussed in the book as well. But my anxieties didn't disappear. I observed my daughters when they weren't paying attention. I felt for them, a complicated alternation of sympathy and antipathy. Bianca, I sometimes thought, is unlikable, and I suffered for her. Then I discovered that she was much loved. She had girl and boyfriends, and I felt that it was only I, her mother, who found her unlikable and was remorseful. I didn't like her dismissive laugh. I didn't like her eagerness to always claim more than others. At the table, for example, she took more food than everyone else. Not to eat it, but to be sure of not missing anything, of not being neglected or cheated. I didn't like her stubborn silence when she felt she was wrong, but couldn't admit her mistake. How challenging it must be to, like, being a parent, you're raising this person from birth and you see them develop and you see these traits that you might see in yourself that you don't necessarily like, or you see traits in them that you're like, where did this come from? I feel I'm still collecting my thoughts on the book, and maybe the movie will provide some clarity. So let's get to watching that, and I'll check back in with you probably tomorrow. So I finally watched The Last Daughter. Well, I watched it, The Lost Daughter. I watched the movie last month. It's been a minute. And this is one where I can say, I'm trying to like pull up my notes. I very much enjoyed the book better than the movie. So the movie, this was very similar to what I said about, what is it? There's a lot of glare. Passing. Passing is a short book that they made into a full-length movie. The Lost Daughter, a short book made into a full-length movie. And so it's like, in what way are they going to make this like stretch out some scenes? There are parts of The Lost Daughter in the book that are just like narration. Like she's just talking, sharing an experience, sharing thoughts that she's had about being a mother, having daughters. And In the movie, to show that, they make it into conversation. So she's like having really random conversations with people in order to fit these moments into the book. And it just like, I kind of wish it had been a narration rather than this really random conversation with a stranger. But it was what it was. I think something that felt different about the main character in the book rather than the movie versus the movie. In the movie, Olivia Coleman is just a very emotional woman. Like, she becomes very tearful in some scenes that doesn't feel like what was happening in the movie. Like, her anger showed up as tearfulness in the book. In the movie, how do I keep these things straight? In the movie, her anger shows up as tearfulness in one scene. And I'm just like, I don't think the woman in the book would have been crying in this moment. Like, it wasn't giving me, I'm so sad. I don't know. So yeah, I liked the book better. The endings were also different. Again, spoilers if I haven't already said this. In the book, she gets stabbed, and that's kind of like, she doesn't die though. The book just ends, she's fine. In the movie, she's stabbed and then tries to like drive off into the night with this stab wound, this bleeding area of her body, and she like almost crashes her car and then falls asleep on the beach, and it's just like, how miserable is she? Like, I felt like at the end of the book, she was like, it's my time to go home and be with my daughter. Let me go visit my daughters. Whereas in the movie, it's like, I could die here. It's just a little more depressing. I liked the book better. Let's say it one more time. The book was better than the movie. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more book to movie comparisons. Coming up next, this wasn't a movie, but we have Lovecraft Country, and I have so many thoughts. This book, I'm not done with it yet. I have less than 100 pages, and the last chapter, I was like sitting on the couch crying. It's so beautiful, and it's written by a white man, if you didn't know. So we're gonna talk about all of that in that video once I'm done with it. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, and I'll see you then.